of silence. Be still and know that I am here. Take my hand, I will hold you. I will wait for your tears. My grace is sufficient for you. My love will wash away the past. Lay your burdens on your shoulders. The trials will pass. Be still and know. Walking down the road, all alone, turned away from home. Why do you, dear, insist on trying to do things on your own? When you're crying and screaming that it's all gone away, that you've been put to shame. When will you deal? Open your eyes, the words ahead. I will be here with you, with you, with you, with you. Wake up to the silence, silence. Be still and know that I am here. Take my hand, I will hold you. While away all your tears, my grace is sufficient for you. My love will up to the sound of silence. Be still and know that I am here. Take my hand, I will hold you. I will wait for your tears. My grace is sufficient for you. My love will wash away the past. Lay your burdens on the shoulder. The trials will pass. Be still and know. Walking down the road, all alone, turned away from home. Why do you, dear, insist on trying to do things on your own? When you're crying and screaming that it's all gone away, that you've been put to shame. When will you, dear, open your eyes? The words ahead, I will be here with you, with you, with you, with you. Wake up to the sound of silence. Be still and know that I am here. Take my hand, I will hold you. Wipe away all your tears. My grace is sufficient for you. My love will wash sound of silence. Be still and know that I am here. Take my hand, I will hold you. I will wait for your tears. My grace is sufficient for you. My love will wash away the past. Lay your burdens on your shoulders. The trials will pass. Be still and know. Walking down a road, all alone, turned away from.
Hey, buddy.
There he is. There he is. There's the man. How's it going, buddy?
Mr. Man.
The
I'm
Mr. Man.
I'm doing very well, my friend. I finally had some sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you?
You know what? Let me just plug in this. You know what? It was a whirlwind of getting home, to be honest. My flight was at 11:10 on Thursday. I ended up having to go in super early to the airport because I had to do a COVID test, rapid test. Yeah, rapid test. So I ended up waking up around 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. I had to take the bus from Reading to the airport, which took 45 minutes. And then I had to go do my test. And so I did my test. It didn't take very long at all, actually, to do the test. And then I had to wait 40 minutes before I could check in for my flight. Yeah. So then to find out my flight was delayed by an hour. So it was supposed to go off at 11. We were supposed to take off at 11:10, but we didn't take off till 12:10. Yeah. And then got back. And guess what?
What?
I had to take another test.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So not only did I wait an hour and a half for my bags, yeah, I waited an hour and a half to get my luggage.
Oh, Christ.
And then right after that, I was going through customs, and they gave me a green stamp or a green sticker on my passport, which means that I was going to have to do another test. Yeah. So, and I made a little bit of a stink about it. And all of a sudden, when I was making that stink, 3 very large police officers came up right behind me, ready to do whatever they were going to do. And the cops were talking to me. I said, listen, why don't you guys go sit back down in your chairs and look at your phones like you were doing when I first got here? And at least I know where our money is going. For them to sit in the chair, all 3 of them, and all 3 of them were playing on their phones.
Oh, my Lord.
So I told the cop, said, can I get your name? And I said, why? Why do you need to know my name? Well, he goes, well, that's what normally somebody would do if I'm introducing myself and you would. I go, I have no reason to introduce myself to you.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I had to take a test to get on the plane and then take another test when I got off the plane. So in order for you to fly, everybody has to be negative. So where exactly did I get COVID in between getting on the plane and then getting off the plane? So it was really quite a hassle. But anyways, so I ended up being at the airport for 2.5 hours.
Jesus.
So I ended up I was supposed to be home. We were supposed to land at 3:10. We didn't land till 3:45, and I didn't get home till almost 6:45.
Oh my Lord, that's not nice.
Yeah, so it ended up being an extremely long day, but I'm glad I'm home. I'm catching up on my sleep now. But after we stopped investigating, I was really catching up on my sleep those last few days, and
Yeah.
it was just really, honestly, it was just, I was sleeping so much. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and then stay up for a couple of hours, and then I'd fall back to sleep, and then I'd get up around 10. I'd go back to bed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and wake up at 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
So I did something very smart. I found out the Saturday I didn't need to work. So
Yeah.
when I got home on Friday night, I kept myself awake until it got dark, and I slept for the pretty much most of Saturday,
Oh yeah.
the entire day. Yeah. So, and then Sunday I was at work again, but the evening was
Yeah.
off because we had the day off from the show. So I just slept all
Yeah.
day, all evening then. So I feel like I'm well rested. I look like I'm well rested anyway.
Yeah, you look energized. You look ready for this incredible show that we're gonna have today.
And I even sorted my beard out for it. Look, it's all trimmed, it's all shaped.
Oh,
Look.
it looks nice, and your hair's slicked back. And what's going on? You're all clean.
Oh, well, I got bored of my hair being like this.
Did you find your hat?
Yeah, found it. It was
Yeah. Okay.
it was like behind the couch, like caught between the
I
radiator.
told you it was. That's
Yeah.
where I told you where it was going to be. So we got a fantastic show today. We have almost everybody that was on the tour. Unfortunately, I don't think the Patrol are going to be here today. I know one of the Robs couldn't be here. I knew the other Rob was going to be here, but maybe something happened. I don't know. But yeah, so how are things going? Have you taken a look through the videos or anything like that? Sunny Vegas, what's going on?
So I've taken a look at a lot of the footage that I've got, trying to map out how I'm going to make each video and what I want in which parts. I'm trying to separate kind of that bit. And with Sony Vegas on my evenings, I have been watching probably more tutorial videos than I think I've ever watched in my life to figure out. And then I'm watching it on my phone, but I'm using Vegas on my computer. So I'm kind of like doing a bit of both. I'm getting the gist of it a little bit, but I think I'm going to start editing next month. So I'm going to wait.
Like it? Do you like Sunny Vegas so far?
I like it a lot better than you cut video that I was using on my phone. So there's a lot more
for people in the
here.
room, if you want Sunny Vegas, there is a way to get it without paying for it. And we can't tell anybody that.
Yeah, except that weird thing that happens when you do it, where you get the tutorial uploaded to your own YouTube video somehow.
Really?
That's what. Remember when you were here? And I was like, what the fuck is this? And the same tutorial had been uploaded to my YouTube channel.
Yeah. So that's weird. I don't know why that happened. It didn't happen to me, but I downloaded Sunny Vegas for Lex. So if anybody else is in the room and they're interested in Sunny Vegas, just let me know and I'll show you how to do it.
And he'll buy it for you.
I'll buy it for you.
Because don't forget, we paid for it.
Yeah, don't say anything. Don't say anything. So so we have a lot of people that are going to be in the room today, and so I think we should get started.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce everybody. Most of you people are going to know who these people are, but there's a few in the room that you're going to meet for the very first time that are part of Portal to the Paranormal that you might not have met before. So let's start off with There's no particular order I'm going in. So please don't get upset if this person's first and you're not. No, I'm just kidding. So let's start off with the one they call the little one, Joanne. I'm going to start off with her because she's right underneath me in the green room. So let's start off with Joanne from Portal to the Paranormal. There she is.
Hi.
Hi, Joe.
Now, I will let people know this. Joanne doesn't normally do this kind of stuff. And so she's a little bit shy, but we'll try to pull her out of her shell during the show.
I'm here, so that's good.
Yeah, and that's what matters. That definitely is what matters. So definitely looking forward to listening to what you have to say during the show for sure. So the next person I'm going to bring up is from G.S.I, and that's John. I really wanted to bring him up last, but since he's next in order, I'll bring him up too. And this is John from G.S.I. There he is.
Oh, sorry, Bryan.
You know I love you, buddy. So don't.
No, good evening, everyone.
So okay, so the next person I'm going to bring up is part of Portal to the Paranormal as well, and this is somebody you might not see that often online. I know when he was doing the lives on his page when we were doing the investigations, you saw him then, but this is somebody you don't typically see in front of the camera. You see him more behind the camera. This is Nando from Portal to the Paranormal. There he is.
Evening, everyone.
So was I accurate what I said? You're more behind the camera than in front?
Yeah, I don't do the front end stuff. That's for everyone else. I just stay behind the camera, and I haven't got the pretty face.
Why? You have the pretty face out of the group. What's going on?
No, there's prettier faces in the group, so I'll leave them to do all the hard work, and I'll just stand behind watching.
No, you did amazing. So
yeah, it was great.
The next person I'm going to bring up is part of G.S.I as well, and this is Ralph. There he is.
How you doing?
And we determined on the investigation that Ralph is more of a talker in person than he is on camera. Is that accurate?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Yeah, I would say so for sure. So the next person I'm going to bring up, he's actually, you would consider the manager of Portal to the Paranormal. He would be considered the lead investigator, I guess, Nando?
Yeah, the bearded dragon,
Bearded
the leader. Yeah.
The bearded what?
The bearded
boss man.
Oh, okay. The bearded dragon. And I
did say the bearded dragon.
He's laughing in the background. That's great. And so for people that have not seen Daniel, Daniel is the lead investigator, the manager of Portal to the Paranormal. Great guy. We had the opportunity to investigate with him on several occasions. And I don't know why. He should be out in the camera more as well. And he's not. So definitely. I'm glad he came on today's show. So here is Daniel.
Good evening, everyone. Hello.
Yeah. So am I right in what I say? You like to stay behind the scenes more in front of the scenes?
Yeah. I like to stay back and just make sure everything's running like a smooth dragon that
I am. And last but not least, these two girls, I will have to say, are probably, how do I say this? They are two of the best girls
crazy.
That I've well, I was getting to that. Two of the best girls that I've met. They're incredible at what they do. They're lovely, lovely girls. Yes, they're a little bit crazy. Rosie's a little bit behind the thing, and Sarah's more up front with the stalker role that she has on but let me get why is that in there on you, Daniel? That thing keeps on popping up. Do you see that? It says drag to reorder. I don't know what even that means. Anyway, so let's bring up Sarah and Rosie from Portal to the Paranormal. There they are.
Hi, guys.
So I was kind of accurate with that, right? So,
definitely the
Rosie's
crazy
kind of
part
behind, and Sarah's more the stalker getting people on the show kind of person.
Pretty much.
So, yeah. So I'm glad unfortunately, I don't think Rob and Rob are going to be able to come up today, which is unfortunate. And so maybe we'll get them on the show later on down the road. Rob will get them on. So basically what we're going to be doing today, we are going to be going through what we did on the tour. We're going to try to hit every location we did on the tour, and our guests here today are going to talk a little bit about the history of the place, and then we'll get into the actual investigation and your thoughts and of the investigation itself. And that's what I think what we'll do is we'll start off right at the beginning where we did our first investigation, and we'll talk about the Murley House, which was the very, very first night we met you guys, which was awesome. And then on top of that, the place was awesome. So who wants to talk about the actual location itself?
I think Dan should do that one. Or Sarah.
Do that? See, I knew we were going to get you talking, Dan.
Well, I'm glad to try and remember as much as I can now. But basically, it's an 18th century manor house, fantastic location. It's currently used at the moment as a wedding venue and a conference venue. And we were originally reached out by the owners of the property to come and investigate it as a haunted location. It wasn't on our radar. We didn't know much about it. And it's one of these locations that never disappoints. There's a really, really active spirit down in the basement that we absolutely love spending time down there. And some of the quiet little rooms upstairs are also really active. We get lots of activity in there as well.
Yeah. So what I did at the beginning when we first started investigating, I interviewed everybody before we got started, and we did get started eventually. And you guys did a little bit of a presentation. You introduced yourself to the group because you were holding an event at that time. And we got thrown into the fire there as, for some reason, VIPs. I don't know why, but we did. And so we had to stand up and say something. What were you saying, Lex?
Because we're legends. That's why we're introduced.
Definitely.
So as the investigation, so why don't you talk a little bit about how you do your investigations? I know you guys like to do your investigations a certain way, and maybe start from there on what we were doing during the investigation.
Okay, so
go ahead, Tim.
So primarily, most of our investigations that we take part in, we have guests that come along with us. But we also do the occasional one without any guests and just the team go out and do our own thing. The night in question at Murley House, we had a good group of people that came along. We split them down into two separate groups, and they go off and do their own vigils at certain locations and then switch around midway through the night. And then we do a little wash up towards the end of the night just to see what both groups got, see if there's any correlation between what they got, see if there's any good evidence from previous experiences when we've been there. But we made sure that throughout the night there was always one location that was free for us, yourself, Lex, and the patrol to go and do some filming, go and do our own little private investigation. And I think we got some really good results that first night.
Joanne is frozen for some reason. Joanne, are you not frozen anymore?
No, she's on the
you
screen.
You are now in two places now.
Double bubble.
There we go. We'd like to see you. We're definitely seeing a lot of you in two different places.
Told you I'd break cameras if you put me in front of them.
So anyway, Lex, why don't you go through what we initially did at the investigation when we first started, because we did start downstairs in the basement.
Yes, we did.
And and just talk a little bit about that part of the investigation and what your thoughts and feelings were.
Cool. So, going down in the basement to start with it's a creepy ass basement. I believe you guys, if I remember correctly, because I haven't seen it for a little while now, it was like the servant quarters used to be down there or something like that, if I'm right.
Yeah.
And
right.
The conditions of the basement, I would not have been wanting to be one of those people that living down there, because even if it wasn't haunted, it's a scary place to be in. Everything is so decayed and broken. There's a random pheasant stuffed in there. It's just a weird place. But there was one room in particular that we were pre-warned about, that there's a place down there that we might pick something up. And they didn't tell Bryan at all which room it was going to be. They wanted to see if he would pick it up. And of course, Bryan, being really in tune with his gift, managed to pick out the room itself. But my first initial thoughts going down there was it was the first time that I'd ever felt uneasy in a location before. Like I could really feel, I felt something there. And I'm not really into that. Like I'm very evidence-based in why I believe in this stuff. And so just having a feeling was new for me. And that excited me a bit more. So we went into one of the rooms, and I believe, really hard to remember because it's the first night. We started, I believe we started with a spirit box session in that main room, which we were getting, off the top of my head, we definitely got responses in there. But overall, that first part, it was just exciting. Like the stuff that was coming through the SB7 was great. None of the devices went off yet at this point, but we did have a REM pod that we did then set up downstairs. And then we also did was it the first or the second time that we did the Estes method down there?
We did the first time that we got down there after the SB7 session, we did the Estes method down that long hallway.
This long hallway, if you watch horror movies and they do this thing where they pan down a corridor and there's just one wooden broken door at the end with a cross on it in a grey corridor, that's what this was. It was fucking terrifying. And me being a massive Estes slut, because I love that test, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll sit in front of this cross door and do it. And it was very, very, very successful. I think a very good Estes method. I think we definitely got some correlations and answers. But it was weird. I think the basement was probably, out of the entire tour, how I felt walking into the basement, I think was one of the. So I know I did it I had a feeling at the military graveyard as well the next day, but that was it stands out for me because it's the first time where I could feel personally that something was in there, and it wasn't particularly a friendly person. And then the groups, obviously, when we found out what the groups were getting, we correlated that there's actually a bit of an aggressive guy down there. So it panned out, and it was a really good experience personally for me to have that feeling and then have it corroborated.
Yeah. You know what I found interesting about, and this is just going over the whole trip, and I don't know why, because when I use my SB7, a lot of times when you're using the SB7 out in North America or Canada or even the States, you're getting a lot of radio. What I found really, really surprising during this whole trip, I never got any radio at all, which I found really, really surprising. Now, obviously, the first night at the Murley House, when we were downstairs in the basement, you're not going to pick up any radio stations anyways because of where you are and where the location was and where we were doing the SB7. But that's one thing I found really, really interesting about the whole trip. How I think there was the only time that I picked up radio was at Don Styler's when we were by the water. And doing the SB7, and we only picked up a radio station maybe once, which I found really interesting. So my question to whoever wants to answer this, is that normal? Because I would think that anywhere you go and you're on AM or FM, that you're going to pick up some radio stations. And if I have the antenna up, which I did at one point, I was getting nothing, absolutely nothing. And Joanne, you were saying something?
Normally we do pick up radio stations. Even last night, Jojo and Sean had their parents down, so we went to the mausoleum because they were interested in seeing what we'd done. So we took a bit of equipment just to show them a few bits. We weren't there for very long, but obviously we had the spirit box then just to explain to them what it was, and we picked up radio then. So if you're saying you didn't get it down the mausoleum, which you've been to, we definitely picked it up last night. And
we didn't pick up anything at the mausoleum either when it came to radio on the SB7. What's that, sorry?
We were scanning it backwards.
And
so we were picking them up.
Okay, so what I normally do is I normally scan it forward. But even if you're doing it forward or backwards, you'd still think that you would pick up something.
Yeah,
which
you
is
still
what
get
I
that
found.
normally, especially above ground. Like if you're underground, like the tunnels of Fort Whitby, then
You're
that's
not
hell no.
No.
Yeah.
Above ground. Then, yeah.
When we was in Merlin House, me and Joe, when we had our team, we was picking up on a little boy called William, and several of our guests were picking up on William as well. But the cry, "Mummy, coming through on the radio, and it comes through about 4 times. It was a child's voice as clear as day. Mummy.
I think I sent that footage to you, didn't I, Bryan?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. I unfortunately haven't gotten a chance to look at it. I have about 40 hours of audio, and I got about 90 hours of film. So it's going to take me a very, very long time to go through it all.
I think the worst bit about that kid coming through shouting mummy, because he was doing it like constantly, and it was the same voice, wasn't it, Sarah?
Yeah, and tapping on the table, and the table moving as well.
Sarah stood in the back saying, go on, open the door with that. Dan frickin' walked through the door. I shit myself.
So Sarah and Rosie, what are your thoughts on the Murley house, and especially that night during the investigation? Because I know me and Rosie had a little bit of a talk on what I was picking up, especially downstairs in the basement. And she was saying I was right, because that's what's there. And so what are your thoughts about the Murley house in general, and about that night when we were doing the investigation?
Well, I worked opposite to Sarah, so I, obviously, like Dan explained, we had 2 groups that night. So I didn't see you guys until break time, until the end or beginning. Murley House is just one of those locations that it kind of never fails. So you walk into this nice big grand, like manor country home, holding weddings, and then you go down below into the basement, like Lex said. It's shit scary down there. And it's just a location that, as I said, never fails. It's just the activity that you get, the spirit boxes, the names that come through, that consistently come through, different events that we do. We have William a couple of times. I've had Charlotte and another name come through a couple of times. So my group that night picked up on William as well. Yeah. On the first level with the blue room. It's just a fantastic location. And if anyone ever gets to go, then just go, because you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. That back room, the corridor that you were talking about, Lex, my team were completely new. They'd never been ghost hunting before. They were skeptical. And I lined them up down that back alley, and obviously put them in the dark. I did some calling out. We did paranormal roulette, that I call it, asking the spirits to touch them. We had hands held. We had one young girl, Emma, at the end near the big door where the cross was, and she picked up. She says, "I just had someone say William in my ear." Now this is really strange, because William comes up all the time, either on the spirit box, on the Ouija boards, and people just pick it up mentally with we always say that they have certain that psychic ability. Just choose whether to tune into it.
And this was before Emma, it wasn't mentioned anywhere, wasn't it?
Yes, we don't share our we don't. We let the guests pick it up themselves.
And then was it Catherine, Joe? I think Catherine. And what we've worked out is that the little boy doesn't like his dad. That we think that he's like the Lord. He's impregnated by the help. It happens all the time, doesn't it? And we think that little boy, is part of what's happened there, and his mum's called Catherine. But they pick it up all the time. Even other teams have picked up on this little boy.
You know what I found?
On the attic as well.
Yeah. And what I found amazing when we were upstairs in the I don't want to say, was it the attic area?
Top floor. Yeah, we were in the attic.
We were doing a spirit box session in there. We were also doing the dowsing rods, and the dowsing rods went off a little bit, and they were doing their thing. But what I found really, really fascinating in that particular room is what we cut off the SP7, which was absolutely incredible. Daniel was there, Nando was there. Rob and Rob were there, and I can't remember what exactly. So what?
Hey, you guys.
Yeah, basically what I do on most investigations, and you've all seen it firsthand. I like to introduce myself and everybody else that's in the room, and that's what I do. And I think it just shows a certain amount of respect to the spirit that I like to give them, because if they do come forward, that's a lot for them to do. And that's why I do what I do when I introduce people. So I was introducing everybody, and we got to, I think, Rob, and literally on the spirit box it said, "Hi guys." And it was true because it was all guys up there.
And it was crystal clear as well, like, because that was that just after my fucking
Emma.
Emma.
let me just tell everyone. Let me just tell everyone about this, right? So we're up there doing these amazing tests. I'm trying dowsing rods for the first time. I'm having fun. We're getting ready to do the spirit box session, as Bryan was just saying here. And I didn't realize this because we had a recorder going at the same time. So we do the session, all is good. We listen back on the recording and we hear something that sounds like someone grunting the word Emma. Now, I was sure. Now, everyone was sure that it wasn't one of us. We were like, it wasn't us.
Oh, God.
And I went, well, are you sure it wasn't me? I think I cleared my throat. And they're like, no, it doesn't sound like you. And I was like, well, okay, cool. Not me then. But on my camera, Rob was holding it. So we looked at my footage and you can't see me do it. So I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't me. So we got excited. We finished the whole night. It's all we could talk about. We told the guests about this EVP and linked it to what they were dealing with. And then we get back home, and me and Bryan are watching it. And on his camera, I do this. And I was never been more gutted about me making a fucking noise. And I was like, why did I even say it like that? Well, I wasn't trying to say a word. I just went like that. And it was so weird. And in my whole time as an investigator, this is being chalked up to one of my biggest fucking errors. But as we honestly said, we would obviously tell everyone what we got. So that's what. So yeah, that was.
You know what I found amazing, and I think most of us know that as investigators, when we're filming or when we're doing a voice recorder, we try to be as quiet as possible. Lex is the complete opposite of that.
Always. I mean, it could be Rosie. You could fart during a session, and which we will get onto on the next night.
I think that was like #2, wasn't it?
Yeah. However, the noises I make, they're not like I'm deliberately trying. Like most of the time, I'm trying not to cough because, as everyone who knows me personally, as you guys probably now know, I smoke a lot. Because I'm waiting to die, but I smoke a lot. So every now and then I have to go like that. And I try not to do it. And I don't know if you ever tried to hold in doing that and your throat starts to feel funny. And unfortunately, because we were doing a lot of EVP sessions, the spirit box sessions, there's not really much room for me to make the noise. So I tried to do it subtly, especially after the Murley House incident. I was like, fuck, am I getting caught doing that again? So...
So let's move on to the next night. The next night we did what?
Can't you remember it?
Oh, I know what it is. But
we know what
Portal
it is.
Portal is the one that took us to this next spot.
Yeah, where was it, Portal?
Was it
Victoria Country Park?
Yeah, Victoria Country Park.
Yeah. Florence Nightingale's dwellings.
Yes. So it was the chapel and the graveyard that we went to, and there was a funny moment that if people know me, if people know me, and I think most people do that come in the room, for some reason, and I don't know why this happens, but I'm going to let Sarah say this because Sarah's the one that pointed it out.
Can I just quote? All I heard in my ear was a whisper, Bryan's flies are undone. So automatically I went, that was it, oh God.
Is that what made you pass gas?
Yeah, that's what made her fart, because she couldn't hold it in.
Yeah, that's why I could not hold my laughing no more. It literally went out of there, out the other end. I might have breathed a little bit as well. Good job out of 10, lady.
The funniest thing is, ever since we mentioned Bryan's flies being done, we actually noticed every investigation that we went to that his flies would come undone, and Bryan would have to sort himself. He would look down and be like, "Oh, they're fucking undone again."
Like what? I'm going to say this. Because I looked at the video of the church ruins. When we were doing the SB7 up on the hill part in the back part where I said we should do it, on the whole video, you see my flies down.
We need to use the
I am
footage
not
and
getting any laughs out of John or Ralph
Flick
whatsoever.
seeing with your blind undone, didn't you?
So I said to Lex, please, Lex, the footage you took, please, I hope you didn't do the whole body.
As
And
I
so
was
we
good.
only did from here up.
I was
haven't looked
doing
at it yet.
my footage is all like close shots because you've got the far away shots. So I was like, I'll do the close ups.
Yeah.
But still,
So-
it's funny as hell.
Yeah, that aside of my fly down and Rosie farting at the same time. Oh, it happened. But I will say, we were standing outside. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get into the chapel. We were outside of the chapel. But honestly, I don't think it really mattered because the amount of stuff that we got outside of the chapel was amazing. We were getting stuff off the SB7. We were getting hits off the K2. We were getting hits off the spirit balls.
I was gonna say, I think the bit when people see the videos that we're making and on Paraflix on YouTube, when they see the way that you and the cat balls were interacting with each other in that investigation, I think people are going to really enjoy that because obviously there's some good theories as to why whatever happened, but it was actually a really fun moment because I obviously wasn't with you at that point. Me, I think Rosie, Sarah, Joe, me with that. I was down the stairs, wasn't I?
Yeah, we
did some breaking and entering.
Yeah, we did some fence fence climbing, and I dropped something down the stairs, so I had to climb over a gate. That's the story.
Obviously.
I had to go and get it. Yeah, but when I came back up, all I could see was this like all these lights, and I was like, well, oh, Bryan might be doing the balls. Maybe something good's happening. As I'm walking up, every time he's asking for something, he's getting a response until it doesn't want to hit the other one that he's asking it to do. But that was a really cool moment, and that was the first time I'd seen the cat balls, I think, like in person. And
just to say, they were sat in the grooves of so when you get the slates that have got like the grooves in, it was sat in 2 grooves, so no wind can obviously knock it. There was no water around it, so we double checked that nothing.
There was no
was
bugs
underneath
it or anything.
No bugs, no. So it was wedged in 2 little gaps in the slabs.
So over that all the investigations that we did, we got a lot of contact through the spirit balls. A lot of contact.
We converted you to spirit balls, haven't we?
Sorry,
I've bought like 9 of them.
Yeah.
So the whole
like
front of my backpack is filled with the cat balls. I've got loads of them. So, and I'm buying more tomorrow.
Yeah. So we moved on to the graveyard after the experience at the chapel, and we did a spirit box up near the big kind of in the it's almost like it was in the center of the graveyard.
Yeah.
That we did in SB7, and the responses that we were getting on the SB7, because what I found really amazing, I lit up a cigarette, and I've heard it. I've already heard it through watching the video. It literally said through the spirit box, pass it around.
Pass it around. Yeah.
For the cigarette.
We were getting followed as well, wasn't we?
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
We were getting followed, footsteps following us back and forth when we went down the big walkway towards the graveyard.
Yeah.
I think also to mention, going back to where the chapel was, as you were saying earlier on, the way you introduce yourself and you introduce everyone that's round, and the response that we got on the side of the chapel was amazing. That was very clear, and it's. Some of the stuff that you were getting through the spirit box, me personally, I think was some of the best responses I've ever heard, since doing this. And
especially your name, Nando, because Nando, obviously, that's your short, isn't it? But you don't have Nando, the chicken shop, advertising on the radio. I've never heard, go to Nando's, so for Nando to come out, it's quite a big thing.
And do it as soon as we say his name as well. Like the coincidence alone is too small.
Yeah. And just to let you also know, I have seen that, and it did say Lex.
Yeah.
And I believe it did say Rosie as well. So the chapel was great, and that's what I was saying at the beginning. It didn't really matter that we were inside because we were getting activity as much outside that maybe we wouldn't have gone as much inside.
It was also the
Yeah.
scream that we heard at the chapel, wasn't it? It was when Lex was down the steps. Us
Down
three
the
heard the
steps.
scream.
Yeah.
You didn't hear it, but when we walked to you, you were playing back the voice recordings that you've done, and you heard the scream, and you said, "Oh, well, that's you guys," and we were like, "No, it wasn't." And then you heard us say, "Did you hear that scream?"
Yeah.
So we heard it with our ears, and you guys
Yeah.
didn't hear it. So that was quite good.
So Dan, I think, fell off. I don't know where he hasn't come back up. So when he comes back up, I'll bring him back on. But so we moved over to the graveyard, like I said, and we got some amazing responses on the SP7. We got some, I believe I did a voice recorder as well. And I think we got some EVPs on the voice recorder as well. So that's another great video that I think is going to be really compelling on what we captured.
And I think as well, seeing the change in Lex when we got to the Mid Street graveyard, he got quite emotional. Yeah, he got very emotional as he was walking through, and we got to the memorial, the big memorial in the middle. You could see how Lex was welling up a little bit, and then as soon as we left, he was back to normal.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I mentioned that earlier, that I don't feel stuff. Like, obviously, I feel like I was already feeling like sad anyway, because it's soldiers and victims of war, so it's like it's emotional anyway. But I put it down to like my military connections with my family, and it just hit me like a freight train. Like, it was ridiculous, especially seeing how many, like, the monument has the numbers of people from different countries buried there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. Like, as soon as I saw the numbers, and we'll walk after me and Nando went to go look at all the grave names. So you were showing me the regiment symbols are on each grave. Yeah. And I think after looking at maybe 3 or 4 of them, I just got hit with this like overwhelming sense of sadness that really did affect me for the majority of the time we were there.
Yeah.
We've had different languages come through on the spirit box as well, like French and Morse code as well.
Well, I think even at one point we asked how many people were buried here, and I think we did get a number from the Canadians, I believe.
I think you were asking how many Canadians are.
Yeah. So again, overall, the chapel and the graveyard was a great experience, and and you guys might not know this, but I'm not the biggest fan of graveyards. It's not because I don't think there's anything there. I just my personal theory is, if you're going to pass away and you're going to get buried in a graveyard, you're going to come out and do some hauntings. Why would you stay in a graveyard? Why would you go to a place where you know and love? That's my theory on, and I know Lex is kind of the same as well. But I find that maybe that's more a fact of the North American graveyards compared to the graveyards out in the UK. One, because they're a lot older, and there's a lot more history there than compared to here in North America. So moving on to the next one. And I will be surprised, and I'll be honest, when I first got to this place, I wasn't expecting anything except residual. Because there was so much stuff in this place. Like, you would walk in this place, and anybody that's in the paranormal or any of those things, you would say, "Oh my God, like, look at it's almost like it was a business, but it was almost like she was a hoarder." You know what I mean? Like,
there was no.
It was just everything was in there, and for some reason, I was drawn to the old radio that was on the fireplace. For some reason, I don't know why.
But you offered to buy it off the.
I offered to buy it too. So, but she wasn't going to give me. She basically said no. So that was okay. But like I said at the beginning, I was literally flabbergasted on what we were capturing in the 1940s tea room. To be honest,
this was still, after all the dates, this is still my favorite place we did. I've done like a top 4 of places that really blew my mind, and this one is definitely, it was the one that really, really blew my mind going here. It smashed the expectation.
Say what it was.
It was in Havant, because
you got it now.
I've learned how to speak. I got rid of my posh accent and saying, "Oh, I went to the tea room in Havant."
I was thinking, wait until we see the area. It's not going to be Havant anymore.
Sounds like you would say. Sounds like that would be a country or a city in Cuba, Havant. You know what I mean? So, but the 1914 tea room was absolutely incredible location. It was small. It was tiny, but the amount of evidence that we captured at that place was incredible. The marble moving in the glass. I'm going to let Lex tell the story about what happened downstairs on the table when we were doing the EVPs and you guys were off doing your Ouija board thing. And to tell people that, Lex, what happened.
So this was quite possibly the coolest thing that I have currently witnessed so far. This was after we were sat down beforehand we were eating some scones and drinking tea because we were taking a breather, and behind us on this table there's one of the cat balls that just keeps going off. So we were like, okay, well when we go back we'll do this session here. So Bryan starts doing setting up, and we've got on the table we have our K2 meter that we were using, so it makes noises. We had the REM pod, 2 cat balls on the side, a cat ball in a doll's hand, and then we had the REM bear, which had the cat balls in the feet. So they're even harder to set off. So we start our general inquiry of questioning, and eventually the REM pod goes off. And we start getting a little bit of interaction with it, and it's good. The cat balls still keep going off, but the REM pod's really working with the questions. For example, we were asking, like, are you a male? Was you bought here? And with the REM pod, obviously, as everyone knows, the closer you are to it, the higher pitch it is, or if you touch it, it's really high pitch. So we were getting like a light crackling, as if something was a couple of inches away from it. Until I asked, did they die in the war? And this was a very important question because everything in there was war memorial stuff. It was war uniforms, documents from the German surrender, Churchill posters and stuff. As soon as I said, did he die in World War II, it was almost as if something grabbed the antenna because the noise went really high pitch. So that was a really cool thing to start off with. But anyway, as we keep probing this line of inquiry, and we hand over to Bryan, who has got. Was you were doing EVP at this point? Was you, Bryan?
Yeah,
you had it on the table.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a recorder on the table as well as all the other equipment still. And we're all just watching Bryan. Now I'm filming the table, so when we put the clip out, you're going to love it. Bryan's asking for something. Bryan's phone turns off or his screen turns off, and I just point out to him that your screen's turned off. And he goes, "No, it's fine." Taps it to make sure it's still good. He turns his back to then get ready to ask the next question, and all at once, every single cat ball lights up. The REM pod is going off as high as possible. The K2 meter's flashing red and making a high pitched buzzing noise. Everything. It was like a disco on a table.
And as that happened, we were in the back room with our K2s went off as well, all at the same time. Yeah.
Everything went off at the exact same time, and I've watched hundreds and hundreds of investigation videos. Everyone who watches this show, most of you who I know personally through doing this, I've watched your investigations. The guys on this panel, I watch your investigations. Paraflix, I watch the investigations. I've never seen a video where something that dramatic happens and it's not faked, because it was insane. I'm still talking to people at work about this, about especially this place in particular, about the tour, and that's one of the biggest things I tell them. And I want to show them, but I don't want to because I want them to see the videos when we do them. But I just can't put into words how great it was to be stood there and just seeing that happen. And that's what highlighted, I think, that location for me, was because it wasn't just our equipment going nuts. It was you guys in the next room at the exact same time going off at the same time. And I'm so glad that we had 2 cameras pointing on it at the same time. And I believe, Nando, you were still doing the live.
I was on the live.
So it is on the live stream. So if you haven't seen that, it's there. But it's absolutely wonderful that I can't even remember what we were asking at that point for that to happen, Bryan.
You asked about what war they were in, and then I think it was either you, Bryan, or Lex said, "Were you in World War I?" And then it just sort of, that's when everything just went off. And also to mention,
2 minutes before in our session, because Rosie picked up that she thought it was World War One, and
I
our
whispered
table
to
lit
you
up,
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
and you guys didn't hear us. And Lex asked if it was World War One, and that's when your table lit up.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible. I still get like excited thinking about just being there to witness it. And it was it was. I don't know when it will be the next time that I see something like that happen again, but that was for an investigator's point of view, that was the gold mine. That's the gold ticket. The only thing that could have made that better is if an apparition appeared on the fucking table in front of us.
That would be great. Right. And to mention as well, Jackie, the owner of the 1940s tea room, she's had that property for the last 13 years. Now, 8 years of that has been the 1940s tea room, and she's had people go in, different teams, and she's saying out of every team that she's had in, she has never seen so much activity till we were there. That she's never seen anything like that. It was amazing for her as well. She was absolutely amazed by it.
Although
that building's old anyway. It was 16th century, wasn't it? There's a bunker out in the back garden as well.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Unfortunately, Jackie owes me a camera. Which I'll tell people this quickly. During the we were still at the beginning, but I was doing all the B-roll wall footage and filming all this stuff, and then we're getting ready to. Me and Bryan are setting up 2 cameras to start interviewing the owner, Jackie. So Bryan's got the main shot, and I put mine a bit lower down on the table that she told us was the most active point in the building. Like this table, everything happens on this table. So I put my camera on it. I'm getting it angled. I press record. And I sit there and I'm ready. And then my screen just goes nuts, like white, red, blue, green, lines everywhere. And the sensor has completely fried itself. And it's so far unrepaired. So I'm going to get it. Hopefully I can get it fixed. I'm going to buy a new one anyway. But I was just like, of all the places in the room to put the camera down and it break, to be on that table is insane.
Yeah.
It was nuts as well. Wasn't it? With the
K2s? We captured some good stuff on the voice recorder as well. And like I said, when I walked into that place, I knew right away there was a child there was a woman there, and there was a man there. And that was confirmed throughout the whole investigation. That's what was there. And when that table lit up like a Christmas tree, it was unbelievable and just an amazing capture. And let's be honest. This is why we do it, for stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it was just incredible. So let's move on to the next one. Now, we won't talk this one very long because, unfortunately, I don't think that a lot happened at the next place. It was kind of a quiet night. We did get some stuff out near the water on the SB7. We did get some stuff on the voice recorder. Unfortunately, Nando was scratched out there close by the water as well, which kind of sucked, but good at the same time because we could put it on film. So sorry, Nando. So, but when going inside the gym, I think we got the REM pod going off once and the cat ball going off once, and that was really about it.
The weirdest thing for me that night was the scream down the SB7 as we were setting up the Estes method.
That was horrific.
Yeah.
And like that was weird. I don't know if anyone who's ever done Estes methods before or even used spirit boxes before. Have you ever heard someone? It was a blood curdling scream.
Woman
scream. About 8 seconds, I think. It was so loud that I felt like I almost burst my eardrum. And I was blindfolded as well when it happened. So all for a second, it's quiet. I turn it on, and then it's this massive scream.
And you can hear it from my camera. And
you can hear the
screen from my camera, and that camera was 7 feet away.
Yeah, so you can see how loud.
Hear the screen, so that was incredible. But all in all, I think we were a little disappointed with that night, to be honest, especially in that one room where you guys said.
Don Stylish Gym waiting room. Usually it's pretty hot in there. But it all started kicking off before you guys, you slow coaches, were going in there. The K2s were going off.
Me really enjoying it. You can hear stuff in there. You can hear something like something sitting on the seat.
Yeah, and the K2s were going off. And as soon as you guys came in, that was it. Flat as all. Okay.
The thing just didn't want to talk to us. That's what we challenged his mate outside.
Yeah. But I think the flip side of it, if you look at it as a different way, You know, one thing I've always said, and I had this conversation with Bryan throughout the time that we were doing this. It was good in a way because then it shows how real our investigations are. You know, even though it was quiet, we carried on with the live, and we showed people that we're being real, we're being honest and true. If it's a dead night, we're going to show you it's a dead night. You know, at least we're not there trying to, yeah, no pun intended, but at least we show that we're being true. And, you know, if it's dead, we're being honest and saying there was nothing really there that night. It was one of those nights where the spirits didn't want to play ball with us. You know, it was just...
That's the thing. Technically, we're scientists, and it is science experiments. And when when you're trying to prove a hypothesis correct, and you don't have evidence to support it, then that's all part of the experiment. Sometimes the evidence doesn't go your way, but it was still a good location. I mean, I'll probably come back to it another time.
Definitely.
Again, joys of me still being in the UK. Obviously, I'll be doing stuff with G.S.I later in the future. Port will know that I'll be coming down to them again. So I'll probably go back and try again and see. Like, if it's dead more than once, then I'll probably give up on it as a location for myself. But I would definitely try it again.
We'll FaceTime you, Bryan.
I will be there.
Well, we got
all in all, I think John Styler's team was good. It was good experience. Obviously, we haven't gone through our footage yet. We never know. We could have caught a lot of stuff on the microphone from the cameras. So we'll wait to find that out. But okay, guys, you guys are up, John and Ralph. John looks really excited about being here.
Just tired, mate, that's all. Been a very long day.
Yeah. So we moved on from the portal, and we said our goodbyes that night. But we will go back to that because
it was emotional.
Unfortunately,
Brian cried.
Give me a break.
The whole drive. He's not gonna miss calls. Me and Nando were best buddies.
I'm gonna miss Nando. So, but no. So we went. We met up with John and Ralph the next night. This was the first night we were meeting them, and we met them at a place that is Colston Bassett, I believe it's called.
Colston Bassett.
So we met up with these guys. It's a church of ruins. It was, honestly, the place itself was amazing. The look of it, the size of it, a little bit of the history. Tell us a little bit of the history about it, John, of this church.
Well, I think it dates back to around the 1600s, and it's supposedly haunted by a black monk, which used to perform witchcraft and satanic rituals. There's tunnels buried underneath the whole thing, which no one knows where they are. But it's almost like the history's been deleted by the village. Nobody wants to admit what used to happen there. So it's really difficult to try and dig anything up. So we spent weeks doing it.
Yeah, it was definitely a really, really cool place. I've seen pictures of it during the day, and it's just phenomenal. Obviously, we were there late at night, so it was a little more difficult to really get a good look at it from a distance. But as we were going on, I don't think we were getting a lot. Obviously, I haven't gone through any of the footage yet when it comes to the camera stuff. We already know the incident on my fly, so we don't need to go down that road. So, but Ralph, let me ask you this: what was your thoughts on the night itself?
Overall, again, it's one of those locations we always get drawn back to because of the fact it always leaves more questions than answers it gives us. And there's an energy about that place where you just can't explain, but it's almost like you want to get in there and learn more about it. And until we've learned that bit of information we want to know about, we'll keep going back. Unfortunately, with it being set on a hill, the weather needs to be perfect. You saw that night when it was windy and you was in the wrong place. It cut through you.
Yeah, and what I found, and I don't know if you know this, John, Ralph knows about this, because we didn't see you again on another investigation. But the moment that you were feeling sick when we started doing the SB7, because you started feeling ill again, and I don't know if you remember me talking about this, Ralph, but during that, I felt something hit me, and it hit my wrist. And now I had my jacket over, like obviously I had my my heavier jacket on, so it basically covers up to about here. And I felt something hit my hand, and I just nodded it off as maybe it was a bug or something like that or whatever. But obviously a bug can't go through your jacket, and you feel the pain. The next day when I woke up, I actually had a very large bruise on my wrist. And
Okay.
I just found it really interesting at the moment that you started feeling sick or starting feeling ill, that exact moment I felt that hit my wrist. And then the next day, and Ralph saw the bruise, Lex saw the bruise, and it was a fairly decent, like it was about the size of sorry, I'm going to say Canadian money here. It was about the size of a quarter. A quarter is basically 25 cents. So, yeah, and I thought that was really interesting, and I just nodded it off as something that maybe but there were no bugs out because it was so bloody windy. So
yeah, very interesting.
It was definitely interesting, but overall, it was great meeting you and Ralph for the very first time. You took us to an amazing location for the very first night. The church was amazing. Obviously, we're going to have to go through the footage to find out if we caught anything. We did capture some EVPs on the voice recorder. We did capture some stuff off the FB7, which was great. So I'm looking forward to going. But what I'm looking forward to talking about is the next night. And this was on my bucket list. And I was really, really looking forward to this place. And that is Sherwood Forest. And maybe Lex, maybe you want to get into that and what happened around the tree when we walked to the other area, or maybe Ralph, you might want to talk about that a little bit as well. Maybe tell the story about the tree, and then I will say what we captured on the SB7 that kind of told us maybe the story's true. You know what I'm talking about, where you said the guy's hiding in the tree?
Yeah.
So obviously it was at the Major Oak, the iconic tree, over 1,000 years old, and the tree is a massive tree trunk circumference, and it was used to hide the thieves within the tree. There's a hiding place to hide from the sheriffs and that, so they wouldn't get caught either with the stolen goods or even because it's on the grounds that they've got like hunting and that. So there's the laws, obviously, with the hunting. And like Bryan was saying, some of the EVPs and the voice, the stuff that was coming through was literally based on that. And you was picking up on a lot of that and the number of spirits in that area as well, which was, again, confirmed a little bit later by the big board, the information board as well.
Yeah. It's funny because when we first started doing the SB7, I asked the question, are the stories true about the guy stealing and giving to the poor? And I captured on the SB7, he hid. Literally, he hid. And literally 10 minutes before that, Ralph told the story about them hiding in the tree. And which was, I thought was amazing. I actually said at one point, there's a lot of spirit around this tree. And literally off the SB7, I asked this question, how many spirit around this tree? And the number, it came back and said 40.
Wow.
Really?
So, but that is not even the most compelling thing that happened that night. And we went over to the second part where you guys normally hang out, John and Ralph, or John, and where the Vikings had settled, and we captured something on the SB7 that was absolutely incredible. And Lex, go ahead and tell that story.
Yeah, so this was really cool. Like the whole Viking thing was really interesting for me. So it was my turn to start asking questions, and that one, because we focused a lot on the woman that was following us, and we focused heavily on whether or not the outlaw stories were true. So I thought I'd just take a chance and swing out a question, and I asked, "Are you someone who stayed in the original Viking settlement camps. And the response we got straight away, and if I remember correctly, it was yes, of course, if I remember it. And it was so loud and so clear that it's one of my favorite responses that we've done. So it was definitely a really cool moment to get that through.
Yeah, and just the tree itself. The tree itself is amazing. Like just being over 1,000 years old, and now it's being held up by these it's being held. What do you call them? Being held up by the scaffolds. Thank you. And I just thought it was absolutely incredible. But Sherwood Forest was on my bucket list. I can now check it off that I've been there, and I would suggest anybody that's ever in that area to go to Sherwood Forest, because
we need to go. So G.S.I team, we're coming.
Not a problem. Yeah, look forward to it.
And that's a great thing, right? And that's a great thing is, and getting off the story of the Sherwood Forest, and that's why I did what I did when getting everybody together, because now all you guys can investigate together and create some amazing videos. But just getting back to the Sherwood Forest, it was just overwhelming. It was exciting. It was just a fantastic place, and I'm so glad that John and Ralph made the decision of that being one of the locations. And we just had an incredible time. And I think this is when the night that this happened, that Ralph really started opening up a lot more to us.
That was in front of the camera, behind the camera, In fact, if I remember right, that was the night I got attacked by a Canadian ghost hunter because he thought I had a mosquito on the side of my head.
Oh, he slapped him in the face, yeah. I forgot that he did that. I forgot that he'd done that.
Well, I was being nice. He had a big bug on his head, so I smacked it off. And in the process, I smacked his head. We had a moment, Ralph. We had a moment.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was definitely a moment, all right. Yeah.
I thought it was a mosquito, and then I later found out you guys don't have mosquitoes, or do you have mosquitoes?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a mosquito, but
We have midges.
Ralph pointed out very quickly it was not a mosquito, and but Sherwood Forest was absolutely incredible, and it was definitely a night for me to remember, because obviously we've heard so many stories about the Sherwood Forest and how amazing it is, and and we only did a small little section of the forest on where we went, and for what we caught around the tree, and then going to, and I'll be honest, like all the way to the next location that we were going to, there was a woman following us. Yeah. And we did ask on the SB7 about the woman, and she did come through on the spirit box, because I felt all the way. And originally we said, well, there is a woman following us. It's Cheryl. And I said, no, it's not Cheryl, which I thought was kind of a funny moment. But that woman came through the spirit box, and the one that was following us. And I thought that was really, really compelling of that woman. And I thought it was awesome. So let's move on to the next night, because I'll be honest and say the next night when we did the beach caves, I believe it was the beach caves, right?
Yes. It was, yeah.
I would have to say that was probably, other than another place that we'll talk about in a minute, that was for me the most overwhelming place, because there was a moment where we were standing in the center of the beach caves, and I kept on looking to the front entrance, because I kept on seeing something go from left to right, right to left. And I'm not sure if it was Ralph that said it or Lex that said it, that asked me, what do you keep on looking at up there? And I said, we need to go there. We need to go to that front entrance. There's a woman up there, and she's going back and forth for some reason. And we did a voice recorder, and we captured one of the best EVPs, I think, on the voice recorder. That was so loud, and so sad at the same time because of some of the history of the place. And, Ralph, if you can just get in a little bit of the history of the place and what it's about, and then we could talk a little bit about those EVPs that we captured.
Yeah, so Beach Caves, if you don't know of it, it is known in the paranormal community. But basically, imagine that it's a deep set of caves that it's been around for a long, long time, cut out, man-made. It was allegedly used as an ammunition bunker in the war, but there's not much to do with that. But from regarding a paranormal point of view, the bit that we're more interested in, it was in the last 30, 40 years when it's used as a rave site, and a lot of people OD'd, fallen off the front of the cliff and that with those sort of incidents. So it's got a lot of overdoses and that, and it's been used, shall we say, to open up, dare I use the word, portals to bring in unsavory spirits, and they've just ended up trapped there. So it's got quite a dark combination and sadness in that place.
Yeah. And John, what are your thoughts on that, on the Beach case? Because unfortunately you couldn't come to this investigation. So what are your thoughts on that place?
I thought it was great when we did our investigation there, but it's the only place we've ever been where Ralph and myself actually turned down doing a Ouija board due to the atmosphere and whatever was lurking around, the answers we were getting on necrophonic and things like that. It just seems so unsafe to do. Like Ralph said, it seems like something has been pulled through, whether it be somebody messing about with a Ouija board and it's gone wrong and they've not closed it down, or something else, but something
red hot fever
nasty, I think, resides in there.
Yeah, which is good to say, because I think we corroborated on our night. Obviously, I'll mention our bit in a minute with when Bryan tells about the first bit, and then I'll talk about the second bit.
Yeah, so I kept on seeing this thing go back and forth up at the front entrance. I know there's other ways to get into the caves, but the front where you come in and there's a chair on the ground and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, John, right? So
yeah.
So I kept on looking up at the front, and I said, you know what? There's something walking back and forth, and I can't. Like I said earlier, I can't remember if it was Lex or Ralph had said this. What do you keep on looking at? It might have been even Cheryl that said that. But I said we need to go to the front. So we started a voice recorder. We did a voice recorder. We did two actually, and in the first few EVPs that we captured, we got help. And before, and I should say this, I should mention this, because I felt like there was a real compression on my chest, and it almost felt like I was, and now I can say it almost felt like I was, there was liquid coming into my chest. It almost felt like I was drowning.
Oh, wow.
And it was very, very interesting. And the best EVP that we captured on that voice recorder, it was very loud. It said, "Help me, please." Now, what I find interesting about all of that is Lex did some research the next day to find out there was a girl that overdosed there and died. And with that type of overdose, when it's an overdose of pills or whatever it was that she took, usually your lungs or your chest fills up with fluid.
No, she OD'd on
like that, right?
she overdosed on ecstasy, and it was a big case there. And but no, it wasn't the ecstasy that killed her. She was so dehydrated from the drug that she was drinking so much water that she drowned herself.
Okay, that's it.
And she died. Yeah, she died. Yeah.
So that was found out the next day. So, but it was just interesting that my chest felt like it was really, really compressed, and it felt like there was liquid in my chest.
Interesting.
And I just found that really interesting. So, Lex, you want to tell your little story?
Yeah. So we wanted to get to this. So we come to the conclusion early on that the woman who we heard on the EVP wasn't anything to do with the war. It wasn't anything to do with the people who built it. So we put it down. It must be a woman from the overdose. So anyway, but we were really questioning as to why she's still there. And Bryan said something interesting, that maybe she doesn't know she's allowed to leave. So we were trying to sort that out. And Bryan was like saying, you're allowed to go. You can go. You don't need to stay here anymore. But then we had the idea that the whole time we were there was this one corner, and you two were obviously, you've been there before, you know where I'm on about, is when you go about 3/4 of the way in and you go right where the water's dripping.
Yeah.
And they've got the 2 stone pillars.
Yep.
And it's got some gnarly graffiti behind it that looks scary on camera. But I remember when we were stood there when we first started investigating, I kept feeling like someone was stood literally right up against my back.
Okay.
And it made me feel really uneasy. And every time we came past that bit, the whole time we're there, I kept feeling really uneasy. And I was like, I feel like I'm constantly being watched by someone, and it's not in a nice way. Like I'm being glared at, and I can really feel it. And I said to Bryan, I really feel like there's something here that isn't a good thing, and it's in this corner. And Bryan suggested that when we did the spirit box, we should maybe we'll ask questions about that. So we did. So we were asking questions about whether this thing had been bought in, and we got a yes answer out of that. We asked it what it wanted, and it said it wanted to escape. We even tried to, and we said, "Are you holding the woman here? Are you stopping her from leaving?" And it said yes. And I even tried to bargain with it, and I said, like, "Well, what do you want? And I'll let you. And if you let her go, we'll give something to you." And it was just a weird ordeal. So, the theory that we've essentially come up with, and I think we've got a good enough amount of evidence in the investigation to back it up, is the soul of the woman who's trapped there from the overdose is actually being cornered and stopped from leaving by an entity that, to me, it feels like it was probably someone alive who's then brought through. But the conclusion I've come to is I feel like this thing wants out because it was summoned in there, can't leave, and that's why it won't let her spirit go either, because it doesn't want to be left there on its own, and it's trying to find a way to bargain its way out. So that was just a weird thing. I mean, the whole thing got even stranger when a bunch of fucking kids turned up to walk around, didn't they?
Yeah, no problem with that place,
Like,
isn't it?
it is 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. We're taking photos because we're done. We're like, let's take some photos. And Bryan's gone down to the lower level. Me, Cheryl, and Ralph are still up in the upper bit. And we could hear, and we thought, me and Cheryl, we just heard a woman outside. We just heard a woman. And I was like, oh, but there's no one here. And then we heard Bryan's voice. And I was like, no, he must be talking to someone. And then we're all just stood there waiting. I was like, if it's a bad thing, Bryan will shout up that there's people here. So we're watching, and all of a sudden, these like 3 people in hoodies walk past in front of us on the lower deck, and I was like, shit. So Ralph and Cheryl stayed on the top bit, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go around to Bryan and just make sure like they don't try and get his camera or anything like that. So we walked around. I mean, they were fine. They were obviously like stoned, and whatnot. But they were like, "Oh, are you ghost hunters?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they pissed off after like 10 minutes. But they didn't give a shit. They were like, I don't believe in fucking ghosts. One of them did. She went, a ghost stole my sliders. And I was like, okay, can you leave?
Yeah. You know, the guy kept on asking me stuff, and that was fine. But something Ralph doesn't know, and something that John doesn't know, me and Lex do. We captured an apparition in the beach caves.
Really? Oh, really?
On a photograph, yeah.
In a picture.
Oh, you have to send me that tomorrow, Bryan.
Yeah, I'll send you that, and it was great. It's a great capture. I was looking forward to telling you guys that, and if you guys definitely want to use that, it's up to you. And but it was good, and it was a shadow against the wall.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a black figure, almost hunched over, looking like almost like it's coming round the side. And you can literally see the whole outline of it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So I'll send you that. But unfortunately, what was next?
Next was the windmill because
it was supposed to be Mansfield Graveyard, but Lex, you couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, and you had to cancel on me at the last minute.
This was not my fault. So we were getting ready to go in the morning. Getting stuff ready. We were sorting out stuff and getting the live show done and what. Oh, did we do a live? I think we did a live. And I obviously wasn't feeling very great, and that was fine. And then I got hit with the news from the patrol that they had to cancel the rest of the tour. And I was like, fuck. Like, what am I gonna? I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I just took the decision based on I was feeling really rough and I didn't know what I've just really felt. I mean, you can see at the live show we did later on in the next day, people you could see how bad I looked. They made a good point of commenting about it. So thanks, guys. But I felt rough and I was like, well, actually, I don't feel up to it because I just don't feel very well. And I need to get this tour back on track. I need to find out if we can get something done. And obviously, so we did do a last minute investigation because my other half told us about this windmill that's around here that I've been wanting to do for a little while. Took me and Bryan a fucking lifetime to find out how to get there because we had to go through like a cricket club because you couldn't there was a pathway down, but it was someone's backyard basically, and they had a gate up, and it's like, well, you can't go over there.
Well, I just want to point out, sorry, Lex, I just want to point out one thing. One of the reasons why it took us so long to find it, because my driving skills in London are not that great. So,
we weren't in London. We were in Milton Keynes.
I'm sorry, the UK, Milton Keynes.
We followed you a bit, so we can vouch for that.
The driving skills weren't up to par. They got better over time. But by that time they got better, it was time to take the car back.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, it was rough. But we eventually found a way there. Bryan actually went through this cricket club, and he had this idea that maybe there's a path through the trees, and he found it. So we did get to do it. But obviously, so we chose to do this investigation. Thankfully, Portal came through with some last minute places for us to do as well, because it's no disrespect to the patrol at all, but it really threw the last few days off. We really panicked as to what to do, and obviously Bryan having come all this way, I didn't want to cut the tour early, especially 4 days early. So I was like, well, what are we going to do? So I was like, well, while we're sorting that out, Bryan was like, let's go out and do this windmill. Let's go to this windmill. And we went, and it's actually a place that I'm very glad that we did do. We managed to get some great evidence. I had an experience that I've never had happen to me before. We confirmed a story that's actually happened, and Bryan loved this place, because the windmill is beautiful. If you haven't seen the photo on my Twitter page, or Bryan, if he shared it, have a look at it. It's cool. But we caught an apparition in the photo in the first 5 minutes, and I took 2 pictures, and the person's not in the second picture, and I'm in the same place.
Yeah. So if you go to his Twitter page and take a look at that picture, you can actually see it because I put it out on Instagram. And so if you take a look at this picture. The windmill's here, you see the wall here, and take a look to the left, and it's actually sitting on the wall.
And if you zoom in on it, you can see the definition of where the shirt to pants changes.
Yeah.
And you can see the outline of the thighs, man. It's absolutely insane. And that was my first apparition that I've ever seen. So that was really cool.
So what I found really, and Lex, you can continue after, what I found really interesting, it's never happened before to me regarding the SB7. I asked the question, it answered the question right away, and I said, thank you. And it literally said, you're welcome.
Wow.
And I've never had that happen before. Like I said, thank you, and then we move on to the next question. And you hear it, literally, you hear it say, you're welcome.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
And it was like, this was a last minute investigation. And I'm telling you guys, if you guys have the opportunity, please take that opportunity and go to that windmill.
Yeah, come to my hood.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, add it to the list.
It's just, we were getting the male figure, that's the male spirits that's there. He was actually answering our questions. We captured EVPs on the voice recorder. He was answering our questions.
I mean, we even heard someone answer us with our own ears when we heard a female go, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Check it out. It's an incredible location, and it was just on a whim.
And the experience was great. I mean, Bryan got tapped on the shoulder, which we mistook for rain because it did start to rain, so we had to stop for half an hour. But
and before you go on, Lex, and the reason why we knew it wasn't rain is because I asked the question, did you tap me on the shoulder? And it said, yes, I did.
Yeah, so that was good. So we got
Lex, before you carry on, guys, I'm going to have to call it a night, unfortunately, because I'm up at stupid o'clock in the morning. I do apologise for having to shoot off a little bit early.
No worries.
But it's
Before you
great
go,
show, thank
let
you.
me show you something. I'll show you now because I was going to wait to the end.
Sorry, Lex.
I have made this. Well, I'm making this for everybody on shirts or jumpers to say thank you for the tour. So as you can see,
Oh, that looks awesome.
Oh, that's
and it
ace, mate. Yeah,
says
nice one.
UK Ghost Paranormal Tour there. Everyone's names are on the front. I'm not finished yet. I'm still making it. But I
Yeah.
wanted to show you all the beginning of it. And when it's done, I will have T-shirts and jumpers made, and I will get them all shipped out to all of you.
Oh,
That sounds great.
No,
What a
so I
jumper
would-
No, I know what a jumper here. I know what a jumper is here, but what is it there?
It's a sweater.
Okay, well, a jumper here is a full piece.
Well,
Of,
because Canadians can't speak English.
Okay. Well, you know, John, I want to say this. And before you leave, and first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on today's show.
Of course.
But it was really a great experience meeting you in person. Obviously, we only got to investigate once, but that night that I met you guys were so, what's the word I'm looking for? So welcoming. I mean, yeah, we joked around a lot that night on the investigation. We had a great time.
It was great fun.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for, putting those investigations together and really going out, because you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad we met finally in person, because we've had a lot of conversations through Instagram. We've had you on the show through the lens. And again, I just want to say thank you to yourself. And hopefully we'll get together again in the near future to do more investigations. And, I know you guys made a lot of jokes that night about Canadians. But as you can tell, that night I was very okay with you saying what you said about the Canadians. So it was all good. I can take a joke like anybody else. But again, thank you so much for what you guys did. And
you're very welcome, and same as you as well, Lex. I mean, to meet you both was great, and the two Robs that came over. It wasn't like meeting people for the first time. It was like meeting friends that you'd not seen for a long time. Yeah. And I think that's possibly why we didn't get a lot of activities, because we spent all night pissing about and just having a good laugh.
We did shoot ourselves in the foot. But I'll see you again soon anyway, John, because I will be up for your season 3 or 4, whatever channel you want me to do.
I'll get back to you which one, mate, but we'll be down to see that windmill as well. So we'll pop down and come and see you, bud.
Yeah, let me know. I'll take you there.
And ladies, you let us know when you're going to come up, and we'll take you to Sherwood.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
See you later.
Bye, we'll talk soon, Jack. I'll send you that picture tomorrow.
Please. Thanks, Bryan. Take care, everyone.
I will.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay. So where were we? Windmill.
So I don't want to take up too much more time. We have kind of three more locations that we did. Obviously, Daniel was unfortunate; he couldn't come back up, and so you guys give him my thanks for everything he did on the last 3 nights, especially. But the next night, we did the forest.
Clapham Woods, the haunted woods.
You okay, Lex? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. Maybe your audio went out. It almost seemed like
you were kind of like this.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if your audio went out.
Because you were talking. I'm looking at who's
talking.
talking.
You know what? Maybe next time you shouldn't really be drinking while we're doing a show. Well, it takes a step.
As co-creator of this show, I do whatever the fuck I want. And it includes drinking beer.
Yeah. So I will say, and I put out a post today on Instagram. Clap that forest. With Clapham, right? As you pronounce it. I will have to say that was probably, for me at least, one of the scariest places to be at.
I didn't like it at all. I was shitting it for most of it.
I'm skipping through the woods like la 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 la, and I've got to look after these two guys.
Loads of murders went on in them woods, you know that, and UFOs. You could have got beamed up.
Yeah, but no one is scared of being beamed up. I was scared of getting killed by a cult.
I think what really threw me off was within the first 5 minutes of doing a voice recorder, we captured something pretty freaking amazing of somebody running up to us on the voice recorder. And to me, that was not okay. Yeah, it was an awesome moment, but at the same time, none of us heard it.
No.
None of us heard it. And
You
we
can
only
hear
heard it on the
footsteps
voice
around
recorder.
you, like because where there's loads of mud, you can kind of hear like the squelching of like a footstep, but it was never the running until you played back that EVP, and yeah, hairs went up on your arms.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And what I captured on the SB7 near the end of the investigation was pretty amazing too. That is going to be, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with that video. That I'm going to have music in that video that is going to be absolutely terrifying music.
Blair
because
Witch
I
Project.
I truly believe that's what it deserves.
Yeah.
To be honest. And you know, we asked the questions about the sheriff, you know, and we were getting responses. And again, I said at the beginning of the show, I was amazed on how I was not getting any radio stations with any of the investigations.
And you're not so much in the middle of nowhere either. You're by kind of where you're in the middle of like a little housing estate kind of thing, and obviously the backs of those houses back onto the woods. A bit further down, you've then got like another little village. So you're not in the middle of, as I say, middle of buckfuck nowhere. You are somewhere to get radio. But, so yeah,
my God, I've never heard you speak that way.
Only on the camera.
Yeah. But you know, Ralph, have you ever been to those woods?
No, it's you'll have to show us where it is. We'll come down, so we'll swap forests for a couple of days.
Well, you come down, then obviously we come up either way. Come down. They are on one of the most haunted forests in the UK as well.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We're game for anything like that. We do solos in woods that's supposed to be full of rituals and that.
This one's full of rituals as well. And we picked up the first time we went as a team, wasn't it? We Rosie was stood at the end just taking photos, and then she was flicking through them, and I was like, go back to that one. And you could see the series of photos. So she was stood in the same place, and you could see the series of photos of a man hanging in one of the trees.
So the head's kind of one
So
way.
you could see it in one, like it appearing, and then the other one, the whole figure of this man, and the head was like lopsided, not to be too graphic. So you could see the whole figure. It was weird. And then the next photo, there was nothing there, and we couldn't recreate that photo. Weird.
But also, it isn't one of those haunted woods in the UK. It's actually in the top 5 most haunted places in England. It's so the amount of stuff that people get there. It was an absolute pleasure to see it.
Yeah, and again, like I think that's one of the first times ever I've done an investigation where I've been in places where I've been scared, and I don't scare very easily. Like I'm just going right there and doing what I have to do. But this forest was a whole different experience, and it was, I don't want to say scary, but it was definitely not a place that I would hang out on a regular basis.
See, during the day, we've been during the day, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's like fairies, dream catchers, like
bluebells.
La la la.
Really nice
get through the night, it's like gone.
That's like
it doesn't help. Right? It doesn't help with the way what kind of trees are there, because it's like those really spiny looking trees.
Yeah.
Fig trees. It's definitely very Blair Witch. Like I think I said it when we got there. Actually,
yeah.
And I was like,
Sorry.
Yeah, and then that one moment with your mother was. I don't know if your mother's still in the room. I wanted to say hi earlier to your mother. Your mother was in the room, but she was with us on the investigation, and something happened to her when we were by the bench.
Oh yeah.
When we went further on, that literally scared the crap out of your mother.
Yeah.
And it was like a cough or a growl or something like that behind.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't Lex this time, because even he looked at us and went, "Did you just hear that?"
Yeah, well, I thought someone like it was almost as if someone was stood right in front of us, had let out a massive belch.
Yeah.
It was like a nasty sound, and I thought it was Rosie.
I was gonna say, was it Rosie?
And then they're looking at me. I'm like, well, I didn't fucking make a noise this time.
And my mum's back
It wasn't Emma then this time.
Emma.
But the thing is, my mum's called Emma.
She is, yeah. But it definitely wasn't me this time.
She's gone behind me, ran in between me and Lex, like we're gonna save her at that moment. Sorry.
I would have been useless. I would have been like, you can just take my soul, mate. I'm not. I'm too scared of you. Just rip it out of me. All right.
Yeah. And overall, the forest was great. A fantastic location, and another one that John and Ralph and the patrol should do.
Yes, definitely.
It's just a fabulous location. Scary, very, very scary. And if you want to get scared, that's the place to go to get scared.
You can tell when Brian's spider senses start tingling. He's like, "Oh, not sure if I want to get in there." We're like, "Get in there, you pussy! This is what you've been looking for."
But the next investigation, it was pretty spectacular, and we did a live that night, and a lot of people got to see what happened. And I would love for either Rosie or Sarah to tell the story and what happened that night with the mausoleum.
Well, we've been going there for the last year?
Yeah,
we've gone abundance of a good 50 times,
and it's old Bursledon, so there's a lot of history there. It's where Bursledon actually started off.
Yeah,
and the village there is beautiful. There's like these old houses with all the wooden beams, all like. They go back way old, don't they? Would you say 13th century? The church itself is 12th century, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so we walked you up there, and you got some great footage. Brian saw his first red letterbox for the
phone box.
Phone box,
yeah.
And
it worked. It was made up, seeing that. And then we went back to the mausoleum, but we saw some locals, didn't we? And we tricked them into like letting out a few secrets about
Brian's holiday travel channel.
Yeah. And they told us a story about actually what the mausoleum is about, and it was what was her name? Eveline.
So Emmeline's short story and Lawrence Petit's short story,
and they went to Old Bursledon for their honeymoon.
Yeah,
fell in love with the place. And they first rented out this great big manor house, and then they decided that they were going to buy it, didn't they? And it was huge. So where the community centre is now, that was the ballroom
of the house.
And back in the old days, back in the 1940s, that was a tea room and tea dances. So you could imagine everyone partying in there. And then it was made into a monastery.
Yeah.
Was it like a church, a Catholic church?
Yeah.
And then the community decided to buy it, didn't they?
Yeah.
But in there's all pictures of Lawrence and his wife, and he couldn't fit in there.
So so when he passed, Emmeline had his cat. Well, he was put in a casket. He was actually buried down at Lower Swanwick, which is literally from where the mausoleum is, their land. Probably literally a 5-minute drive. She then had the mausoleum built for him, and unfortunately his casket couldn't fit in lengthways through the door. So then he couldn't go in the mausoleum.
Emmeline lived another 30 years, didn't she?
Yeah. And they said, well, he's buried outside, and she's said to believe buried with him.
It's a beautiful little mausoleum, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the great thing about it is when we put cat balls on them steps before and nothing's happened, we had K2s out, didn't we?
We have had spirit box. So you were on the dowsing rod one time. Yeah. I had the spirit box going at the same time. And the dowsing rod started to spin in, and then the spirit box went, leave. That was it. Time to go. It was horrible. But the night that you guys went, as Sarah just said, we've put the cat balls on the stairs. None of them have ever gone off. We always put them at the 3 trees, which create a triangle.
And they go off sometimes, don't they?
They go off. Yeah, we've had them going off all together, all 3. But going on the steps, never.
And when Brian decided to take that lunge, that skiing, down, nearly took his two front teeth out on a flipping bit of concrete and wrapped himself around that tree. They were laughing with him, weren't they? I mean, we was really concerned that you didn't hurt yourself.
The cat ball didn't go off for quite a while at that point, and the next minute Sarah said, "Spirits, are you laughing at Bryan falling like a sack of potatoes?" Next minute, the cat ball's going off. Sack of spuds. That was it.
It's like they were laughing with us.
Yeah,
but they were going off on demand, and then.
But what is the best moment of that, though? What was the best moment of that? That when we were doing that session with the spirit balls,
seeing that
seeing
mist,
the light
going. Curling itself around. I hope you've got that footage. It curled itself around.
Yeah,
so
missing the bit we're on about.
Yeah, you're missing the bit what we were talking about. When I literally asked the question, "Are you and Emmeline together?"
Yes, and the cat ball started going off, and
instantly.
Yes,
instantly on demand.
It was.
It felt like that night. It was like a love story unfolding. They were saying. Like with the kind of question, the path we were going down, it is one of the most, for me, I don't know if everyone will agree, but it was one of those things that you felt comfortable, you felt warm. Like usually investigations, it takes you through a journey of different emotions. And again, for me, is a first of feeling, well, we're listening to a love story unfold. There was nothing evil, nothing, no one felt, you know.
The thing there is is and Joe will admit on this one, because me and Joe's just been there on ourselves, or we and you've been on ourselves. It's like loving and inviting, and it will draw you in, and it will tell you I love you, and then next minute, bam.
We've lasted 3 minutes in there before, though. We lasted 3 minutes in there before.
We have literally lasted. I think me and Jamie has gone, and we've lasted 1 minute 40 seconds because we're gone.
I think it was great unraveling the story as well. Yeah. And you got some pictures from the village hall of what Emmeline looked like and what John's story looked like as well. And it was lovely.
Yeah. So that night ended up being a fantastic night as well. I will have to say that for me was probably my third favorite one. Obviously the tea room was my favorite. The Sherwood Forest was my second, and obviously the mausoleum was my third. But I will say, I'm not taking away from any of the other investigations that we had. They were all great investigations. I learned so much about you guys and you know, John and Ralph and Rob and how you guys investigate. But so the last night we were there, and the last night we did our last investigation was at Fort Whitley, which you guys have been there numerous of times. I will say there was a moment during that investigation where I got very scared because it came right to my face. Whatever was in that main part that we were standing, and then to later find out from Daniel saying that, or I'm not sure, maybe it was you, Rosie or Sarah said this, that there was actually some video that was on the TV show Caught on Camera on somebody being pushed. And in that particular location, I felt right away that it was a negative spirit. It was a very pissed off spirit. It was an earthbound spirit. So something that was alive. And he was just very pissed off. And I said right away that he's not even going to come close to this equipment, which none of the equipment went off.
Nope.
And at the particular moment where I said I need to leave is where he came right into my face, which has never happened to me ever.
What's really funny about that is one of my first times in Whitley, I was a guest. I wasn't an investigator. And I was with Jojo and Sean, who you met that night. And we were doing like a seance. I don't do them now because I feel trapped in them, but we was doing a seance as guests do, and I said I need to leave this because I felt that there was a man in my face exactly the same as that. So they'd be,
and you can see in that moment where I said I need to get out of here, and then me and Sarah went into another room and we did a spirit box, and I asked the name, what is your name? I introduced like I always do, and right away, Ted. Yeah. Right away, it was Ted. And it was just an incredible location. But I'll be honest, it felt like it was really active at the beginning. And as the night went on, it seemed to slow down a little bit.
It's hit and miss with that place.
Yeah, and I think the reason that happened is because my personal opinion on why it maybe happened, because Nando falling.
Oh my!
Or-
Do you know what? I was hoping we were missing that one.
That's cool, man.
Do you know what? Do you know the funny thing about that night? Like, Bryan pulled me to one side. He said, "Do you know what? You haven't been in front of the camera that much." I was like, "Yeah, because I like to be behind." And he was like, "Look, stand here and just be cool." So I thought, okay, he started recording. I thought, I'll be cool. And as people do, you put your foot up against the wall, don't you? Just to like lean. And I didn't realise there was a fireplace that had been knocked through. I went to lean and I went right through nearly. And then, yeah.
Cowboy moment.
Yeah, that was...
It was funny. It was only a get me back because of the fall in the tree and stuff like
we
that.
caught it all on camera this side.
Yes. And I did catch that because I looked for it on the camera. I did catch it.
Good.
Right.
I will let you know. I am putting it in the video. And,
hashtag 35.
But you know what? The reason I'm doing it is because you guys don't know this, but we did capture something pretty incredible on the SP7. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. And not to make fun of you, Nando, not at all. If you want, cool. I'll blur you.
No.
I'll blur you.
It's in my blooper reel to take the piss out of you, though, because it was fucking funny.
Just keep it as it is. It's all fun. It was all fun.
Yeah. But that's it. You know, Fort Whitley ended up being. It was quiet on some of the parts, but it's just an incredible place and such an incredible amount of history at that location.
Yeah.
And you guys really came through on those last 3 days.
You're welcome.
And me and Lex, and I hope you don't mind me speaking for you, Lex. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts and what you guys did for us.
Welcome.
And same with you, Ralph, as well. And Joanne, we know you were there in the background, like you are right now, this whole show. So we love the fact that you were there too. And Nando was amazing, and everybody was amazing. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart that what you guys did. And I look forward to investigating with you all again.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And hopefully you guys will get up to Canada so I can take you to some locations. And same with you, Ralph.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to come up to Canada. I got some great locations. And
I want to go to the bridge as well.
Yeah, the bridge is, you will be surprised.
Yeah.
Going to this bridge, the amount of activity that's at this bridge. And as soon as you get down underneath the bridge, you start hearing voices right away. Same thing with the church.
Yeah.
Same thing with the church. You guys are going to love the church if you guys ever get out here. But, you know, this has been an amazing show. And I'm glad we were able to relive this again, you know. And
I can't wait. Thank you for letting us be a part of it all.
Yeah. It's been a great experience to meet people that you've only seen on like a stream platform.
Yeah.
To actually get to know you guys, you know, it was like
when we were at Merley. So when we were at Merley and I can hear Brian's voice down because I was down the stairs setting up some cameras. Rosie, I was like, he's here. It was just
it was truly amazing.
Real, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We didn't just get to know you as investigators; we got to know you as people as well. And I think that was like a really nice part of it. Like, you know, it's something that we can like. Still now, you're back in Canada, Lex, you're at home. We've been able to message you guys, you know, having a laugh, you know, and it is just such a great experience. And I think, you know, I don't want to talk for everyone, but I think everyone from Portal to the Paranormal would agree. You know, it was just something that we're so blessed to be part of, and it was absolutely amazing. You know, so we really enjoyed it.
It's great fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, and like I've said this numerous of times over the last couple of months. The reason I did this is because I think you guys deserve the spotlight, just like everybody else. You know, G.S.I. and Portal and the Patrol, and you guys are just amazing people, and I'm honored to call you my friends.
Oh, see, we're all lobsters.
Yeah. But you know, the same thing with Ralph. And Ralph, I think the second night we investigated with Ralph, he really started opening up because he is the strong silent type, I believe. And
well, we gave you that impression.
No, I don't know at all. So, and then having the opportunity to meet Daniel and Joanne was amazing as well, and she was a lot of fun and very, very funny on some of the investigations that she was at. And you know, I definitely call you guys my sisters and brothers, and I thank you so much for doing what you did for myself. So, Lex, you want to say anything?
Pleasure, anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. Glad we could have come.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100% agree. This when we started talking about doing this little road trip tour, we spoke about this a very long time ago, and the fact that it's been gone and we've done it, it still amazes me. But I don't think I'm going to have a better time doing what we're doing than what we did over the last 2 weeks. Meeting everyone was amazing. I'm glad that we've got to make some friends. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm going to visit both of you, and the patrol. I'm going to visit all 3 groups as often as I can. Obviously, I think Port will know that I know I'm coming down in October. G.S.I, when you guys want me, let me know, and I'll get a train up.
Yeah.
And if the patrol are watching this, just hit me up whenever you need me, and I'll come down. It's no ish. But it was good to learn some new stuff, like using cat balls is something I've never done before. The glass on marble, which my one is, if I can turn this around, is up there.
Nice.
Oh, wait a minute. I got something to show you. Sorry, I'm going to be moving my camera here.
Yeah, so that's it was really cool just to see how you guys do your thing, and learning even stuff with G.S.I, learning stuff from you guys as well. I think the way you use your night vision stuff and you film everything is really good. And I think that you taught me as well, like the level of patience in some of the locations, because obviously with Colston and Bassett, we were there for a little while, but you didn't give up on it. We still stuck around, and you really know your stuff. And I think the way you pass out information and how you collect information is really good. And I learned a lot from you guys as well. So I'm looking forward to coming back up and spending a bit more time with you lot. And hopefully, I only met 3 of you. Yeah. So hopefully I'll meet some more of you lot when we come back up. But I can't honestly say anything else other than it literally means the world to have met everyone. And thank you so much for volunteering to be part of this amazing experience. And I wouldn't have changed. The only thing I would have changed is the patrol being able to come and do a bit more days with us. But of their work, obviously some bad stuff's happened at work. So that would be the only change. I can't thank you guys enough for doing this for us, and much respect to all of you and much love for all of you for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Start saving Lex. We'll have to do like an American and Canada tour.
Yeah.
A big old convoy.
So is there anybody on the panel right now that wants to say anything before we end the show?
It's just been a great experience. I think that is the biggest thing out of all of it. Is we've done something to give something to the audience, but at the same time, it's fair to say we've all made friends out of it, and it's a memory that's going to last for a very long time. You know, and it's just been great. You know, the laughs, you know, the falls, me trying to be cool and proving that I'm just not a cool person at all. You know, it's all good. It's just been a great experience altogether.
And also, again, like you guys said, you've learned stuff from GSI and the patrol and us lot. We've also learned from you guys as well.
Filming.
Definitely.
Filming, yes. It's what we always need to do, because we do our lives, but we need to get some good cameras.
Yeah.
It's given us a kick up the bum that we needed to really start focusing on making it bigger, like you guys are doing with the filming. So there we go. So we're getting there.
There you go, Joanne.
So but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody that came on the show today. I can't thank you enough. Obviously, me and Lex will have you guys on again down the road. And this time we'll get Joanna to say a little bit more. You look great, Joanna. You look great there, sitting there.
You smashed it, girl.
You
On it.
represented Portal to the Paranormal when it comes to the looks very well.
Hey, I spoke a bit.
Yeah, you did.
Back and
You
forth
did.
and everything.
And but we'll definitely have you guys back up on the show again down the road. Ralph, we'll definitely have G.S.I up, and we'll definitely have the Patrol up again. We'll definitely have Portal to the Paranormal up again. I think once the videos start coming out, I think that's probably when we'll have you guys on the show again.
Yeah.
So to talk about the videos and what happened, and even the funny moments as well, you know.
Definitely.
And but that's it, guys. That's it. That's our show. I'm going to say goodbye to all of you.
That's it. It's the final one. Bryan, can you just go, I want a big dog?
So the last night in our investigation, I discovered that if anybody's seen the movie Legally Blonde, and the woman that Reese Witherspoon meets in the salon,
Stifler's mom.
Stifler's mom. I discovered that I can do her voice because we stopped to eat something at this place, and it's really weird. It's really weird how I discovered it. And I think I discovered it because me and Lex got there earlier in the night, and there was a woman that stood in front of us and was laughing at me because I was able to do this voice really well. And I wanted to get a hot dog, and I said, I just want a big dog.
Oh, brilliant.
So, but it was great. And it was great 2 weeks that we investigated. And again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that did a lot of stuff for us and went out of their way for us. And let's get those videos together and let's get them out, and so people can enjoy them too.
Definitely.
You know, so but you guys have a great rest of the night.
Yes.
I kept you for 2 hours.
It was great talking to you guys. Take care.
I kept you for 2 hours, and 2 hours and 6 minutes to be exact. And
Nice.
I know you guys need to get to bed, so I will say my goodbyes now. Okay.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I won't shut you off. There. Oh, wait a minute. I shut you off. So so that's it, man.
That's it.
That's it. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back. Through the Lens is back. So we're going to do a show next week, but I don't think we'll be doing a show the week after because I'm going to be away for that weekend at White Hill Mansion. So, but we will have a show next week. We will have a guest next week, and if something happens, obviously I'll mention something during the week if it doesn't happen. But great show, and I'm really looking forward to when those videos start coming out, and I think people are really, really going to enjoy them. Obviously, my videos are going to be going up on the Paraflix, but I'm trying to think maybe I might put some teasers out on YouTube, maybe do like 10 or 12 minutes of the episode, and we'll see how it goes. But I know your videos are going to be coming out, so hopefully they'll come out soon, and you guys are going to be able to check out what happened on all those investigations, because Lex does have all my footage that I filmed. So
I don't yet.
I thought you did. Oh no, you only gave me. I have to.
I gave you mine, and I need to get a external hard drive, and then I can download yours off of thing. So
God, that's going to take hours to do. So it's going to take hours. But I want to thank everybody that came in the room today. I know this was a fairly long show, but I think it was a show worth doing, and you got to really got to know everybody that was there. Unfortunately, the patrol were unable to come up, but we'll get them on later on down the road, and we'll talk about the UK tour with them as well, and what's coming up with them as well. So I'm going to say my goodbyes, and until next week. But I want to thank DNTV for allowing us to stream on their network. Obviously, they're a partner of ours, or a sponsor, or what would you call them?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. So DNTV, I want to thank everybody that came in the room, and we'll definitely see you next week. with another guest and another great show. So I'm going to say my goodbyes.
I also want to say thank you to everyone who came into the room today, and thank you to all of our amazing panel that came up. Thank you for the tour. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the memories. And it's good to be back on the show, even though it's weird that we're no longer in the same room. But it's definitely good to be back, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Thank you very much.